Can everyone hear me? Dick, can you hear me okay?
I sure can.
Okay, super. So where
What's
is everybody from?
you have to be from someplace?
Are you in Medford?
From Beaverton or
Oh, okay.
Hillsborough if you count KWSC.
I'm in Southern Oregon in Medford.
Okay. Hi, Stephanie.
Hello.
And Stacy, what about you?
I am in Hillsborough and I'm a part of the Sunset Corridor branch.
Oh, awesome. Well, I am in Klamath Falls, where we still are getting snow, and I understand everybody else is getting rained out.
Yeah, part of what I drove through yesterday was definitely snow too over the pass. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's unique. I mean, spring is spring, but this is very spring.
We're
Nothing
still
but
in winter
sunshine.
technically, right? So I guess that we'll let it
Technically,
go
yeah.
for a little bit.
Nothing but
But I'm
sunshine in Hillsborough.
Oh, nice.
ready for sunshine and warm days.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I will go ahead and start us with our accountability real quick before I introduce Laura, who is one of our favorite instructors. Stacy, you want to get us started with your accountability check-in?
I did 2 open houses over the weekend. The email that I sent out that you helped me with, it bounced back. So I guess the email address is not correct. I'm not sure what to do about that.
You could see if you could find them like on social media by their name.
I tried. I'll keep looking though and see if I
Yeah,
can do anything else.
that happens. Oh, and okay, who else do we have today? Stephanie, how's everything going with you?
Everything is going well. We were out of town for the weekend for a celebration of life, but I'm ready to get back into it this week, so we're good.
Welcome back. Ross, how are you doing? Still driving today a little bit?
Yeah, I'm on my way back to my house right now. I'll be there in a couple minutes, but pretty positive weekend. Did an open house, got a few clients through a referral network, and following up with some people this week, including touching base with you this morning. And yeah, just kind of learning everything, taking it all in, but having fun.
Good. Young, how's everything with you going?
Yeah, I'm good. I
Good.
went to the neighbor open house on the weekend, and this Wednesday I'm going to meet Selena at First American Title.
Oh, good.
It's my first time meeting with a title company, and I'm a little nervous.
That's okay. Don't be nervous. They're just sitting, looking to help you, so it's all about you. Dick, how's everything going? We have a good mindset this week?
The mindset is better. I've got
Good.
all kinds of things going, keeping me busy. It's just too bad
Great.
there's not enough real estate involved.
Yeah, just gotta drop it in there in everyone's little head.
Yeah.
Q, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. How's your business going?
There's nothing I would call business, but I've been doing what I've been doing so far. I met my neighbors yesterday and then actually did a play date.
Oh,
And
good.
share my market knowledge and then talked about my investment and things like that. And then he's unfortunately he's a patent lawyer, not a divorce lawyer, so I'm not gonna get it leads from him. But that's
Hey,
good. Yeah.
everyone knows someone, so that's okay.
Yeah.
It's still a good relationship to build.
Right. And then actually it's a kind of question to you. I reached out to some of the agents at the market center requesting like open house opportunity.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately I didn't get the email back. And then I thought that, oh, I should just set the proper expectation from the agents, because it looks like there are too many responses from that email distribution. So I wasn't getting any responses from that specific agent. So basically multiple agents are sending out emails regarding open houses. And then if I send out an email requesting an opportunity, but if I'm not hearing back, then I cannot ask for other. So for example, if there's some other agents sending out emails with the open house opportunities, but I cannot attempt to take that chance because I already sent out an email to the other person. So I didn't know how I could set the expectation from the agent, but I talked to my friend, and then he said, yeah, they're not responding to such emails, so just assume you're not getting it. So now that's my expectation. So and then I thought one of the reasons I didn't get it was I didn't have any signs or whatsoever, flags or anything. And then new agents were getting signs and things like that from the listing agent. However, and then I asked myself, oh, I added that message to add that message in the email to the agent, and probably she thought, oh, this agent is new, and then has nothing, obviously no signs and whatsoever, and then she has a limited number of assets in her hand, so she may not be able to distribute it. So yeah, that kind of thought process I'm going through right now. So setting a proper expectation from the agent, and then things like that, and then I'm gonna meet my old friend tomorrow. There's a baby, so a lot going on, but I'm trying to build a relationship and get things going my way.
Yeah, that's good. So you can definitely also utilize the Facebook group, the KWSC Mastermind group. You can post in there and say you have availability to host open houses. And then even if you've sent out like inquiries about your availability, if you see an opportunity, don't feel like you can't go ahead and capitalize on that. And then you would just let the other agents know if you did get a response like, hey, sorry, I've already booked, but I'm always happy to do this in the future. And then that way you can just kind of build that rapport with them, but don't feel like you need to hold yourself back just to wait on people's responses. Just go jump on the opportunities you see.
Right.
And then you can also look at like the new listings each day. So on Thursdays, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if you haven't scheduled yourself for that weekend yet, and you see people hosting or posting new listings, you can reach out to them one-on-one as well and just say like, hey, I'm available. And you absolutely can there's a couple signs in the office for checkout if you need for open houses until you get your own, or like you said, asking the listing agent is another viable option too. So that you're on the right track there.
Yeah, that's good. And then I ordered mine.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. Joanna, how's everything going with you?
Nice. I did an open house Sunday. It was really slow, but not too
Okay.
bad. And this morning I was working with Smart Plans in Command.
Was it a new listing, or was it one that had been on the market for a while?
Was 10 days in the market.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes that first weekend's typically the best traffic wise, or like a new price reduction. So sometimes it can be a little bit hard. Okay. Who else do we have? Sung, how's everything with you?
It was slow, but I did another open house during the weekend, and I actually got 3 leads.
Good.
So I'm preparing my follow-up based on my schedule.
Good job. That's great. Chanista, how's everything going with your business? Oh, you're muted.
I am in the mode of collecting and get in touch with my my network. So because I'm not in the area yet, Probably next month I will start going for open house.
Great.
Shadow with someone who is in the team to
Yep.
to see how it works in real. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent.
That's my plan.
Good. Tamara, how is your business going?
Sorry, I had to unmute.
Okay.
I am, trying to, do networking, just wherever I go.
Yeah.
I have a pretty big clientele, so I'm working on the clientele I have through my other or current job, and just letting everybody know that I'm back doing this, and just asking for leads, or just letting them know if they have anyone that may possibly want to buy something or is selling and stuff. So my clients are also out here working with me that I currently have right now. And just, I'm pretty outgoing. So wherever I go, I meet people, I talk to people and just let them know what I do. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm also trying just to work on my, I'm trying to work on just getting all my stuff that I need for, doing foot traffic, like in the neighborhoods and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've tried to contact other agents that have things on the market as well. I've actually put myself out there. I'm just waiting to hear back about one that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, couple of weeks. And I'll be doing a couple of open houses with someone else. So that's the goal.
Good, awesome, great. Well, it's all beneficial. So today we have Laura Knight, and she is a realtor with our Keller Williams Southern Oregon in the Klamath Falls office. She's a solo agent, and she enjoys being a part of the KW culture, helping her fellow agents succeed by learning the MREA, business model, and building a successful career and life by design. She's a part of our ALC this year as well. So we are really excited to have her. She's a wealth of knowledge. Definitely engage, ask a lot of questions, and enjoy what tidbits you can get that you can implement in your business.
Thank you, Mara.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Now, as we go along, I am one that squirrels often. So if you do have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask as we move along. And then I'll also, at the end of little segments, I will ask for any feedback or questions and be able to kind of give you some insights that'll help you. And we'll go from there. So, yes, I am in the Klamath office, and I've been with this office for 6 years, over 6 years now, and it was established about 7 years ago. So I was lucky to jump from one brokerage to Keller Williams and haven't looked back. So anyway, we're going to get to the close, and I'll just start going through this because we do have a pretty large class. And if you do have questions, again, don't be shy. I love questions, and I have Labradors, so I'm used to being interrupted. Anyway, I think I'm funny. So you guys, how many people in here have actually gotten a contract yet, or have done any real estate transactions, either for yourself or as a broker?
You're talking like the full close.
Yeah, well, even if you're a newer broker and you haven't even gotten to the close, but you've written offers. I just like to know where we're at in the where your guys' minds are at, so we can kind of get in that. So if somebody's bought or sold their own home already, then they kind of have a general knowledge. Or if you're totally green, then I'll slow it down a little bit so we can check all those little boxes for everyone. Sound good?
So I'll probably say that, humbly throwing myself on the sword, I'm probably the greenest person here, in that I have gotten someone under like a buyer's contract, but I haven't been able to like write an offer or any of that kind of stuff yet. That's really just the only form other than buyer representation, and stuff that I'm the most familiar with.
Well, then you're in the right place.
Yeah.
This is a great start. Keller Williams is fantastic, as we all know that. This way over yonder, I don't know if that affects you guys, but we are right here. So you guys have gone through the real estate expert, lead gen, lead follow-up, transactions, and you've worked on how to get your buyers and sellers and make and receive offers and then negotiate offers. Now is the nitty-gritty. This is the parts that you've got the action and you need to stay on top of it. You have timelines, a lot of negotiation. You negotiate the offer, but that's the beginning. Throughout that contract, it's alive. So you need to stay on it. And there's going to be other points that you're going to need to negotiate. Fun times. So with the negotiate your offers or make and receive offers, did you have any challenges in your workbook on that? Okay, so now we're just going to go over, and we're going to work on timelines. Then we're going to go over the best practices and risk avoidance. Risk avoidance is huge. It's no fun to get sued. Then we'll work on referrals and reviews. This is how you support your business and get on to figure each person that you meet and you have a good rapport. You could get 2 or more referrals and reviews off of that. Then how you keep in touch with your clients after the close. Then we're going to move over to recap, ahas, and daily success systems on what we can do. So you guys remember your 6 core competencies that you learned earlier, or have you learned those? Well, here we are. So the 5th one is coordinate the sale to closing. It's an essential skill that's made the list of core competencies. It's a skill to be taken seriously because you can get so close and one missed opportunity or deadline, anything like that, you could lose your contract. And that means you're losing a payday. And it really stinks when that happens. If you've done everything that you could, then you can sleep easy. If you look back and go, oh, I wish I would have gotten ahead of that. So that's what these classes are for. So we're going to move on to the transaction and go over negotiation points that are necessary throughout the process. We're going to develop the timelines. And does everybody have their worksheet with them? I'm not going to check you on that, but it really is nice to do your little worksheet and you can take notes. I am a huge note taker. It's something about, it helps trigger my memory. It's another tool that I use that once I write something, it makes it easier to look back on that and go, oh yeah. So since we have a lot to cover, I suggest taking notes, but it's up to you. So we're going to develop the timelines, apply best practices and avoid risk. Identify ways to follow up after closing to build our business, to start thinking about what you will learn today. Let's consider what questions we might have and what we'd like to learn more about. And I love Ask Me Anything, Q&As. That's where you really learn. It gets the brain firing, and it's easier whenever you're in front of your client, when you have that contract. It will help you in the long run. So is there any questions that anyone might have right now? You can unmute yourselves.
Not yet.
All right. Well, then I'll keep yakking at you guys. Let's see. There's no one here to push the buttons for me. So if I can get my mouse to work, we can change the slides. So real estate transactions aren't particularly trouble-free. It's strenuous and trying time that requires all the attention and effort you can command. which is true. You've got to stay on there. I actually use hard copy files and I write out my checklist. You can do the same thing in Command. I like to do both. There's just something about writing that I'm used to it. But Command is fantastic. You can get on your phone and you can read your tasks and move forward on that. Oh, come on, mouse. So just as getting a lead doesn't make that person your client, getting under a contract doesn't mean closing a deal or getting paid. So a lot of people get excited. I get excited when I get something under contract, but I know that's where the journey begins. It's a whole new journey and you got to stay on top of it. There are several steps in the process where a deal can fall apart, and knowing how to manage the risks will help you take a contract to the closing table. Let's see. Has anyone ever had a problem at the closing table, either for themselves or assisting or anything like that? Okay.
Not yet.
A lot of people work together to make the closing happen. As the realtor, you and your co-op realtor, which is the realtor on the other side, are conductors and coordinate all the people and tasks that occur between the contract and the closing. It's likely also to be a time of high stress for your client, so your relationship and communication with your client is just as important as your relationships and communication with all other parties that make the deal happen. And usually I tell my clients we're going to be best friends for the next couple of months and just get used to it, because that's your focus. You know, let them know or ask them best way to communicate with them, and communicate as often as possible, and never be shy about asking them questions, how they want to, you know, hey, have you put in your earnest money deposit yet? Have you talked to your inspection or your inspector yet? Those constant reminders, it's not nagging them, it's just, it's overwhelming. So you're the voice of reason to help guide that ship so they can, so we can get. And next. So as a real estate agent, it is important to keep track of the deadlines in the contract. And I don't know if you guys have a sample contract that you've been using, but use the timeline in your participant guide and the contract to plot out different deadlines in the contract, if you have that. If not, then we're going to spitball and just move forward. So you'll be drafting multiple timelines, like your buyer timeline, seller timelines. First, you're going to focus on the deadlines in the contract. So first deadline would be your earnest money deposit. You know, that's a big one, because if you don't get that earnest money deposit into title in time, that is reason to default the contract. Some people are very casual about it, but you don't want to lose a contract within the first week because, you know, you haven't had your buyer put in the earnest money yet. And as the listing agent, you're allowed to talk to the buyer's agent and say, hey, I need that receipt, that EMD receipt, earnest money deposit. You'll use the middle timeline plot out of the contract related deadlines in your participant guide. You'll leave space above and below for additional activities that we'll work on later. For now, let's start on our contract. What deadlines do we have in the contract? Can anyone answer that? Bueller? Anybody? Because I like to talk.
Inspection?
But I like to listen too.
Inspection,
Pardon?
inspection,
Inspections, earnest money, and getting escrow opened. So first is getting escrow opened. Then you get that earnest money in. Then you decide, what inspections you need to have performed. You try to get those scheduled as early as possible. What else might you need to get? If you've got the buyer, you need to have the buyer get their homeowner's insurance binder prepared. You need to let the lender know. As a matter of fact, if you've got the buyer, once you go under contract, you send that contract to the lender. So that way the lender can start getting all of their things taken care of to get you closer to closing. And depending on which.
How does that change if they're paying by cash? I was hosting a couple open houses this weekend, and one person said that if they were buying something, they were just paying cash.
Well, cash transactions, you can usually close quicker because you're not necessarily getting an appraisal, because the appraisal can take you 2 weeks to get an appraiser out. So when I have cash transactions, depending on the type, if it's land or if it's a home, I can close a transaction within 3 weeks. If the seller is ready, or if the house is vacant, or if the seller is ready to move within 3 weeks. And all you do is there's, you don't have to worry about the appraisal and the final approval for the loan. So that will save you 1 to 2 weeks on your transaction time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So also with that, your title report. So when you open escrow, usually depending on which title company, you should have a title report. Sometimes depending on the time of year, might take a little longer, but you can usually expect a title report within a couple of days to a week. If the interest rate starts to drop, you'll see that there's going to be more people getting HELOCs and refis. So that makes the title company busier. So when you open escrow, you can always make a good friendship with that escrow officer and say, how's your timeline working right now? So that kind of lets you know, because what happens with that title report is people have 5 days. The client has 5 days to review it, the buyer. And if there's something on that title report and they don't want to move forward, they can terminate the deal and then get their earnest money back. So, and with earnest money, again, if they don't get their earnest money in a timely manner, that could be grounds to terminate a contract from the seller. And especially if things are competitive, you want to protect your buyer and not lose that contract. So then again, you have inspections, even on a cash transaction. And even if I know that it is a home that's going to need a lot of work, I will still go ahead and suggest getting an inspection or a contractor out because that is risk management. You know, some buyers think, oh yeah, I can handle that, and they don't get inspections, and then later they find out that they've got a heaving basement or something along those lines, which starts racking, you know, the cost of repair way up more than what they had anticipated. So sometimes in the contract, I will put buyer will pay for the inspections. And within a week, if the buyer says, okay, I've just walked through the house, let's say it's a contractor, he's walked through it or she's walked through it. And then I'll just put an addendum, buyer waives inspection. And that covers you saying they had an opportunity and they waived their right to do that. So with a lender, another part of the timeline is that you will need to have send it to the lender, get the appraiser ordered, and then once the appraisal is ordered, ask the lender when is the due date of the appraisal. Going back a few years, sometimes we were waiting 3 weeks on an appraisal from the time that the appraiser was ordered to the time that the lender would get it back. So during these timelines, you need to communicate that to your client, to the other agent, and make sure that both sides, all parties, know what's going on. And take advantage of getting friendly with your escrow officers, with your inspectors, with your appraisers. Just be polite with your lenders, and that way you get everybody on the same page and you work towards success that way.
Did you
Told
say
you guys I talk
that
a lot.
when you, sorry,
again?
sorry, I'm probably going to ask what seems like stupid questions to most people, but you said that when you get into like a contract with, like, let's say like a buyer client, you said one of the first things that you should do just once you get under contract is send them like a packet for title insurance. Or
No,
is
it's
that more
not,
with-
not title insurance. You need to get a homeowner's insurance policy. If you're, even if it's a cash transaction, remind your buyer that they should really get some insurance.
Okay, so is that more of like a disclosure disclaimer kind of thing? It's not like a packet we like send to them or anything, or
No, it's up, you can send them to different insurance companies if you know of somebody that you would like to put your name behind.
but also their decision to make, but we just
Yeah,
recommend the
usually
idea
what
of
I
what the-
do,
for the value.
yeah, what I do on a vendor list is I usually offer 3 to 4 different choices. And I just send it to the client and say, these are your inspectors. You know, if it's somebody, well, let's say I've got a phone call and it's someone that says, hey, Laura, I'm ready to start looking at houses now. My first question is, are you working with a lender, or will this be cash? And more often than not, no, I haven't been pre-approved. Okay, well, let me send you the list of the different lenders. This person's here, this person's in town, this, you know, and give them an option, especially if I've worked with all of them and I know that they're good. And it's really hard. As you move forward, you're going to work with a lot of really good professionals. So you just want to keep them in your Rolodex so you can pass that on to your clients. So there'll be the lender, there will be which title company they want to use. You know, everyone has a preference. And even though I'm in Klamath Falls, we have, for all of Klamath County, we only have one title company. I do have a good rapport with First American over in Medford. And so since I've worked with them a lot, it makes it easy whenever I go to open an order with them for escrow, because they're used to me.
So how does that owner's insurance policy like fit in the mix then? Because you said you would want to let the lender know if they're going to do
Right,
that.
because you can't loan on a house without a homeowner's insurance policy, because the lender wants to make sure they will get their money back. You know, if a house burns down, or let's say you get flooded out, and it's going to take a lot of money to repair it. If you don't have that policy to help cover the damage, then some people will just walk away and default on their mortgage. So all lenders are going to, they won't loan unless you have a homeowner's policy.
And that is on us to get with the client. Like lenders won't say like, oh, we have people too if you're needing a home.
Oh, it's totally up to the buyer of which company they want to use.
But they need to have that chosen when we go into lending.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The lender, because let's say you have a 4-week transaction. You know, within the first week, you need to get your buyer set up for all the things that are going to be happening. Their earnest money deposit, to make sure they have their down payment for the loan, unless of course it's VA or USDA, but however much that is. And another thing you do is you tell your buyers if they are using any type of financing, it is not a good time to go spend money. Hold on to your money, keep the money in the bank until you close. Then you can get the new car, the furniture, the patio set you've dreamed of. don't do it before you buy the house. Make sure you close, because that will ding somebody's credit, and it may affect their credit score and bump them out of being able to afford that loan.
Cool.
That
So
sound good?
yeah, so if someone gets like, they find a homeowner's insurance policy, they sign up for it first, and then they bring that like proof to the lender, is how
It's
we
called a binder.
binder. Okay.
Yeah, and the lender will have it, and in some cases, the title company will make sure, because when you go through escrow, then the escrow company needs to know where different funds are going. So they'll need to know who that contact person is and that policy number as well.
Do those policies then only take effect if that loan is actually like taken out? Like, people don't
Right.
pay for the policy if like this all goes to smoke. It's like, well, we did
Nope.
our due diligence, but we didn't follow through on anything because nothing happened.
Well, what happens is, let's say you're getting a loan on a house, you will have your monthly payment with, however, let's just make the numbers easy. Let's say it's $1,500 a month because you put a big fat down payment. And then you've got, $2,400 annually in taxes. So that's going to add $200 a month to your house payment. And that's how you get your taxes paid. And then let's say your homeowner's insurance is $100. So that's an additional $100. So now your house payment is $1,800 a month. But this way, the mortgage company knows that the insurance is getting paid and taxes are getting paid. So if ever you default as the borrower, that they have insurances to make sure that their property is in good standing
Right.
with taxes and insurance.
Cool. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love questions.
I'm gonna, I just don't want
and-
to irritate other people. So these might seem like rudimentary questions.
No, but how do you know unless you ask? And this
Yeah.
is what makes everybody stronger. And everybody's at different places in their life. So you go with it. So other people, we've covered this, with the other agents, stay in communication with them. And there's a lot of jokes that some agents don't like to answer their phone, or it's tough to get in touch with a lender. Just stay on it. Text. I like texting because this way I have a receipt of saying I need this done, or this is when the appraiser is going to be there. So they can't say you didn't tell me. But you're working with that other agent, but your number one focus is your client. Okay. So again, what are you doing through the transaction to set yourself and your buyers up for a successful close? And there are the vulnerabilities, I think, through this Q&A that kind of shows you different vulnerable points. I lost a contract back in October because we had a wildfire within a 10-mile radius of the house my buyers wanted to purchase. And their insurance would have been $10,000 annually, just right under, which bumped them out of, they could afford the house, but then they would have been house poor, which means all their money and funds would have gone to support the house and the insurance payment. So when they terminated, I explained to the seller, so they did get their insurance, their earnest money back, but those are one of those things that happen and it's by no one's fault. But that's, so the purpose of me telling you that is just because it looks like everything's doing great. When you get that insurance policy or that insurance binder, it might just be a deal breaker. So don't go spending money till you get the, till you close and the money's in the bank. Any other questions right now? Can anyone think of other vulnerabilities? What about an inspection and something comes back? Let's say it's a rural property and their well isn't working. So that's another point to where you could lose the contract if you can't negotiate a repair or reduced price, something to offset a non-functioning well.
My buyers chose to stop the transaction because of flood insurance.
Yep. And this Thursday is a class out of the Medford office. Contact Kay Ree if you want the Zoom link if you're not within the Medford area, but it is going to go over homeowners insurance because with those California fires, it is going to affect us here. Well, it's affecting everybody across the country. Fires in California, all the flooding and hurricanes and everything that happened Midwest and Southeast, it's made a big it's making it harder. Insurances have gone up and policies are tighter. But anyway, if you could take that class, I think it's at 10 a.m., but you can reach out to the team leader, Kayri Imus, and at the end of the class, if you or you could just call the office there, and then they'll let you know when that class is. And it's not a CE class, but it is for your benefit to understand how the insurances are changing and how it will affect the way you move forward. So anyway, here we have a buyer's timeline. And with inspections, I like to get my inspector in as soon as possible. I usually write in my contract 2 weeks here in Klamath Falls. Sometimes in hunting season, I will write 3 weeks because half of our guys are out hunting. So also make sure you get your earnest money in and inform the listing agent of your inspection schedule so that seller can be ready for you. And then when you have the inspections, you'll ask the inspector if they're going to, if you want to do a walkthrough with your clients. Even if my clients are out of area, if I have an opportunity to walk through with the inspector to point out defects, and that way I can ask questions about it. And whenever you negotiate an inspection response, which is this area right here, if you're going to ask for repairs to be made or reduce the price in lieu of repairs, you've got to ask yourself and help your buyer out on this. If it's a material fact, if it's a bad roof, you know, is the appraiser going to call it out? Or is there only 10 years left on, you know, approximately 10 years left on this roof?
Quick question.
Yes.
When you're talking about going through things with the inspector, do you go through the initial inspection with them or afterwards?
No, I schedule a time after. So let's say it's a 10 a.m. inspection. I'll say, hey, Joe, when do you anticipate being done? Because I'd like to do a walkthrough. And depending on the size of the house, Joe's going to let me know when he'll be ready for me. And sometimes if he's ready sooner, he'll send me a text. Hey, Laura, I'm going to be wrapped up here in about 10 minutes if you can come early. So then if I can, I hop over and I walk through. If I can't, then I keep the scheduled time and he can wait for me. But this way, if there's a small drip on the outside faucet, it's not the end of the world, but I want to see the faucet and I want to get his opinion on that faucet. If it's something structural, I want to know. If it's something that let's say it's the roof or the gutters and I can't see it from the ground, but he's got pictures. I want to know how severe it is or if it's just something a little more cosmetic. That way I can tell the buyer. And then we can come up with a good plan of action, not so much to beat up the seller, but to protect your buyer. So that's how that works.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, short answer, long. I'm good at that. So, and here we go again with the appraisal when it's due, and then when you get the appraisal in, what if your contract's for 450 and the house appraises at 425? This is another point of negotiation. So if you have the buyer, you go to the seller and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we are asking for the price to be reduced to 425 due to the appraisal coming in low. Now, the listing agent or the sellers can say, sorry if I said buyers, it's Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Anyway, you can ask them to reduce the price, but they don't have to. So as a buyer's agent, you negotiate as much as you possibly can. Let's say on the inspection, they've already reduced it by 10,000 to accommodate the roof. Instead of asking them to go down all the way to 425, you might want to try meeting in the middle. When I negotiate, I try to get above where I know I want to land. So if let's say the house is in very good condition, minor repairs, they've already taken care of them, and the appraisal has come down to 425. I'm going to talk to the listing agent and say, hey, it's really hard to make my buyers pay for a house that doesn't value. So we're asking for the price reduction to meet the appraisal. And then the seller says, but we've already done the repairs. It's like, yes, but the appraiser saw the house after the repairs were done. So, you know, it can go either way. But really do your homework on that and find the best way to approach it to help your buyers out. And I've had some people, when I'm the listing agent, bring me 2 pages of repairs. Then when the appraisal comes in, then they want more and more. And, you know, in the end, it's up to the buyer and the seller of what they want to do. But your job is to guide them through that and give them as much information as possible for them to come up with a decision. So, and then when a client says, well, what would you do, Laura? I don't like that question, but I hear it often. So I let them know I can't answer that for you because, you know, it's a personal thing. Sleep on it tonight, and then we'll talk about it again tomorrow. And then just line out the material facts. If there's other homes, if this is their dream home, how bad would they feel if they lost out over $10,000? $10,000 is a lot of money. I don't care how much money you're making. It's not anything to go, oh, well, it's just 10,000. That's a lot to some, nothing to others. So appreciate it for what it is. But you really give your clients as much information as possible to help them make the decision on decisions that you can't make for them. But you find those twists and turns. Hey, this is the only house. This is the only 6-bedroom, 5-bathroom home on 5 acres, with a nice barn. So, you know, how much longer do you want to wait? You know, that's how you would talk to your buyer, and you just lay it all out there. But you're in no hurry. Your house hasn't even sold yet. So we have time if you want to wait, you know, till summer or spring or anything like that. And then in the end, after you get all of this settled out and everybody's happy, you're going to the finish line, you're getting ready to get everybody signed. You can make an appointment to do a final walkthrough. And usually if you're asking for walkthrough, you want to let the listing agent know in the beginning if you anticipate doing a final walkthrough. Not everybody has the time. Usually sellers are frantic. They're trying to get everything packed up. They don't want to deal with it. But do this way if there is any, let's say on a ranch property, or a farm, they were gonna leave the water line, you know, the big wheel lines out there. And then when you show up after they've closed, oh, Joe didn't realize, and he went ahead and sold off all the wheel lines because Joe didn't communicate to Maureen, and Maureen sold it, you know, to the neighbors or whatever. So it is always good to get a final walkthrough when you can. So, any questions?
Just a question, when you were talking about after an inspection and possibly asking for the purchase price to be lowered, is that only in contract that you're having that conversation, or can you talk to the other agent and then go, okay, so we'll write something up? Or should it just specifically be in addendums, or how's the best practice?
I will get the addendum written and signed by my buyer, and then I will call the agent and say, hey, Maureen, I'm sending over a repair addendum, but in lieu of repairs, we're asking for a price reduction. And you'll learn with some agents will be receptive, others will immediately want to negate it. I don't talk about the price. It's just, hey, check your email because it's coming. And then click, there it's gone. It is a courtesy to let them know. And sometimes if it's midnight and I finally get the signature and I send it over, I'm going to wait till morning to say, hey, Maureen, did you get the repair addendum? It came in late last night. Otherwise, I would have called you first.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Yep.
So, common points, interaction and communication points. So, you've got communicate your deadlines and communicate the communication of the contract to other parties such as title and lending. You've got to keep those two because they're not in the office the same as the agents and the buyer and the seller are. So it's your job to make sure you communicate, hey, title company, we ran into a hiccup and I'm sending over extending the closing date from the 1st of April to the 15th of April due to, and you don't even have to tell them why. You know, it could be due to repairs. It could have been, there was a hiccup somewhere that is delaying for 2 weeks, and they happen. So again, most transactions are going to have hiccups and bumps. So you just stay on your toes and, you know, communicate that. Then let's see, the lender and the buyer, again, communicate. What you communicate is, you know, we're the buyer. You can ask your lender, how are we coming along? Is there anything else the buyer needs to do? Or are we setting good? And another thing, the buyers will get their disclosures, and a lender disclosure is going to outline the terms of the loan, what their payments are, what the taxes and insurance are going to be, and what their closing costs are. So your buyer needs to make sure that they have enough money in the bank to take care of those closing costs. And again, depending on the loan and the lender, those closing costs are going to vary. And closing costs will be their escrow, will be their down payment, will be their lender fees. Let's say there's outstanding taxes somewhere. If you've got the seller, then guess what? You know, you've got 20,000 outstanding in tardy tax, you know, property taxes. So that needs to be paid off as well. So make sure you communicate that with all people there. And again, going back to the beginning, talking about the different companies, insurance agents, inspectors, communicating all of that with the listing agents. Any addendum addendums, inspection reports. Let's say there's a red flag on title. A red flag can be where maybe the sellers inherited the property. And the way that they had the deed set up is that the house was supposed to transfer to one of the children. But then there's other children, so before title can, and it's been less than 18 months since that person passed away, then the title company may need additional documents signed that there is no contest to the house being transferred into sister number one's name, and then sister number one will distribute the funds per the will or things like that. But there's all sorts of weird stuff that happens on a regular basis, and never be shy, because you could be in the business for 5 years and never deal with that. And then all of a sudden you're like, what? So you call the title agent that you're used to working with and you go, hey, what is it I need to do? I'm not understanding this. Can you break it down? Every now and again, I get a title report and I'm like, I've never seen that. So I'll give a call. Can you explain line number 15, the exception? What am I supposed to do? Or does that go away at closing? Sometimes they have to put it on the report, but it will go away at the time that they close the transaction. So there's a lot of talk there. And so now additional questions to ask yourself. When am I reminding the buyers to not make big purchases? Every single day? No. When am I communicating when to set up utilities and how to do it? Several times. Again, with your vendor list, you let them know the power company, the gas company, the garbage company, different internet providers. You let them decide what they want to do and how to get it set up. Many times they can't set up their account until the seller has let the power company know, I'm selling the house and we close on the 15th of April. And so that way the power company can put that into the notes. So when the buyer calls and says, hey, I just purchased this property, they already know. So there's that. And am I communicating notice of any holidays that may delay the process? Guess what? In November, that's a busy month for a lot of things. So give yourself usually if you think you're going to close in 3 weeks, you might want to give yourself 4 to 5 weeks, because there are a slew of holidays and off days. And then there is also, that's when property taxes go into effect. So if you close a house in October, then the buyer may need to come up with an extra $1,000 or so for property taxes, because the title company still does not have the amount of taxes that are going to be owed moving forward. And so that affects both the seller and the buyer. It's confusing, but it happens every year. So if you can close, well, just, you're going to close no matter what month it is. Just give yourself a little extra time and explain it to your clients. Due to holidays and property taxes, sometimes it delays our progress. And we already went over how to negotiate the inspection report and how to communicate the information. And this is a big one. If you are the listing agent, you have the option to ask for the entire report. If you just want the pages from the report, or you don't need to see it because you're not going to make the repairs anyway. But the thing with that is, if you receive the entire report, perhaps there's something on there the seller didn't know and it's a material fact. So now you have to go back and you need to put it onto the disclosures, the property disclosures. And that's, sorry, it's based on that one. But as the listing agent, you will have the seller's property disclosures. Minute you go under contract, you send that over to the buyer's agent. So from once the buyers get it, they have 5 days to look it over. And if they see anything they disagree with, or they want to remedy any questions they have 5 days. Otherwise, and let's say that there's a red flag in there, they didn't know that they were geothermal and the well's starting to cool, they may want to terminate the contract. So make sure you get that done. I've seen somebody get property disclosures 3 weeks in, there was something there, buyers terminated, and they were within their timelines because they didn't get the disclosures until 3 weeks into contract. So yeah, there's a lot of balls in the air. Again, use your task sheet or your task forms in Command. And also, you know, I'm a sticky notes person, so feel free to put sticky notes wherever you need to keep you on task. And then the last one here is, when do I touch base with the lender, title company, or listing agent? Constantly. So I like to, at the beginning of the week, I set out, you know, what has to be done. And then I just reach out to the title company. How are we doing? I've got, you know, my buyers should be having the insurance binder over this week, and this is the agent, blah, blah. And all of those people appreciate it. And I'm sure in your life experience, there are times that you wish someone would have kept in touch more. That's part of your job. So, and people appreciate it. Not, you know, you don't have to be annoying. Just a simple text. Hey, we're doing, also for your buyers and your sellers, because it is a highly emotional time, just send a quick text. Hey, just touch base with XYZ. Everything's looking good so far. Any questions?
I think Dick had one.
Yeah.
He's been typing in the message box.
Your
Chat.
little thoughts
Oh.
about verifying funds or the HOA forms.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Verify funds, that you put into the contract, and usually I put 3 to 5 days, depending on if it's a holiday week or if my seller's out of, or my buyer's out of town, or let's say they have a Fidelity account and we're putting an offer in on Saturday, and I know Fidelity is going to take 3 days to issue a letter of funds to verify. So I just write that into the contract. And there's a point in the contract where you put when you will have the funds sent over. As a listing agent, you need to be aware of that 5 days into the contract, 5 business days. If you don't have, you know, according to the contract, if you don't have the funds, you call that buyer's agent. Hey, where's my form to verify the funds? And then I've had buyers take screenshots of their bank account, and I tell them, please, please, please do not do that. I don't want your bank account. I don't need all of it. If you're putting in an offer on a $50,000 flip, I don't want to see what your total balance is and share that with the seller because they had it listed for like 65 and we got them down by 15. I don't want to show them that because it's a tough one to explain away. And HOA forms, yes. We don't have a whole lot of HOAs here, but many places do. So that is, and then also in your contract, there is an HOA addendum that goes along with your sales agreement, and it is asking for the contact of the HOA and what their rules are. And yeah, but with the inspection report, ask the listing agent what they want. If they want the whole report, just the pages on the repair addendum, or nothing at all. And sorry about that, guys. So, any other questions right now? I think we've pretty much gone over a lot of this. Is it an act of communication or a document? And even if it is a document, let the other side know that you're sending it or it's been sent. To whom and from whom the document is going. What's the best pathway for communicating with my clients? I always ask them, how do you prefer me to contact you? Me personally, I like text, calls, and then emails. What is the best plan for follow-up after a document has been sent to the responsible party? Hey, George, did you get the addendum that I sent over yesterday? You know, any questions, anything like that? And we get busy. Sometimes we mean to respond and we don't. So you're not bothering somebody. And if they think that they're bothering you, then they're in the wrong business. Are there templates for this that I can use or create to save effort and streamline communication across transactions? So there's some things I don't want the other side to know, but if it's something that I can be transparent about, then I will send a group email. Let's say I'll be sending it primarily to the title company, but I will also send it to the seller, the seller's agent, and my anybody else who, or the insurance company. Hey, we appraised at value. And so when the appraisal comes in, I never let the selling side or the seller side know what the house appraised at. And if they ask me, 9 times out of 10, I don't see the appraisal anyway. I'll just say, I don't know, it appraised at value, because that appraisal belongs to the buyer. The buyer does not have to disclose to you what the house appraised at. The lender usually will call me and say, hey, we appraised at value, or we're below value. Anyway, you can communicate that to the listing agent and the title company at the same time. So simplify, any chance you get. So, and what you can do is take this graph right here and just, I think it's actually, yeah, it is actually in your handbook through Ignite. And you can write in for the buy side and the sell side how you want to list things out. So on the seller's transaction, I kind of hit on that at the same time. And there's a lot of people that you're going to be responsible for bringing into the transaction. And so set yourself with high standards and keep people in the loop. Oh. So what's the first thing that the seller needs to do? Once you go under contract, you're the listing agent. You, if you haven't already, in your listing packet, even upon a signed agreement, to give them an outline of this, these are things that we can expect, and there are some things that we don't expect that may pop up. Because sellers get really excited. They try to hardline that closing date and tell them that, you're 95% sure that we'll be hitting that date, but you know, things could happen. So let's wait till we get the appraisal and the inspections before we hammer in that close date. It's basically a suggestion, the closing date. That's what I let my people know, and we're gonna do our best to get there, but there's a lot of gears moving at the same time. So what do sellers need to know and do? Let's say you have, let's say your seller knows that there's a little bit of peeling paint here and there on the rails of their deck and a little bit on the fascia. And you were offering the house for cash or conventional loan, but somebody brought you a VA and the seller accepted. And the seller understood with the VA, the peeling paint isn't going to, they're going to call it out to be repaired. They won't loan unless that peeling paint is taken care of. So you need to let the sellers know right at the beginning, these are the things that are going to happen, but even before the appraiser gets here or the inspector, we know that paint needs to be done. So let's get that going. And this is it. If the buyer's okay with it, because the buyer is saying, you know what, we're going to repaint the house anyway, we just need it to pass the appraisal. Let's say you have a white gloss door frame, you know, so the molding is starting to peel. You hit it with sandpaper, the seller goes ahead and hits it with white, but it's a flat white. The appraiser will overlook that in most cases because it was pre-existing. Let's say you don't, the appraiser comes in, you hit it with the white flat, the appraiser comes back out and says, guess what, that's not matching paint. So these are things that you do ahead of time. They're the little things that you learn through trial and error, is try to get ahead of the appraiser on minor things that the homeowners can do. Does that make sense? And then for the listing agent, you need to keep your clients, you need to advise them on their timelines, what can and can't happen with inspections, appraisals, you know, let them know where the buyer's at. And the same with the buyer's agent, keep in touch with the inspector. Let's say you have an inspection scheduled for next Monday, but then there's something where next Monday you get called, the seller gets called out of town for whatever reason, and you have no access to the house. Then you need to let that buyer know, hey, look, there's something that happened, we can't get in, can we reschedule? That's kind of a dumb example, but anyway, you just need to keep in touch with the buyer's agent. And it is, you're working back and forth, whether it's, you actually, when I work with the different agents in different agencies, I just figure we're all in one big mass group, just in different locations. So it's not like, ooh, I don't want to work with you because you're with XYZ agency. That's not it at all. It's like, let's kumbaya, let's all get together and make this a success. But never do you have to put up with any shenanigans or take all the weight onto your shoulders as well. So there's that fine line of camaraderie. Let's see. So what are you guys doing at each point to bulletproof the transaction and set yourself up and your seller up for a successful close? Bueller, anybody?
Put everything in writing.
Yeah, you communicate, again, text and emails are great. And then I also leave notes in my hard copy of the days that I talk to them. You know, if it's a phone call, or I'll make a notation in my, I just keep a journal, a log, and just write it in there. And yeah, that's great. And to educate them along the way. And who else do you get in touch with for your seller that you have to coordinate, especially if they're moving out of area? You have to help coordinate things with the movers, not so much you, but if you know of a good mover, then you share that with your sellers, but you need to keep them on task. If you go into the house and you are 4 days away from closing and nothing has been boxed up, you need to start telling your seller, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you need some help? Here, I brought you a dozen boxes and some tape with some paper, you know, because they really need to start packing, especially if they have a lot of stuff. They need to start packing before they even go under contract. You need to let them know about, you know, terminating their utilities, the forwarding address, all of those things that happen when someone moves above and beyond just all the timelines in the contract. So kind of the same thing. You'll see here buyer's agent, listing agent, you know, how your timelines go. And in different areas, again, on average, transaction beginning to end about 30 days, you know, about a month, 4 weeks, is what it takes to close. Sometimes if your buyer isn't, let's say they go under contract, their loan is for a particular amount, but maybe they're changing jobs in the middle of it, unbeknownst to them, that can throw you out by about a week. So when that happens, you don't give up all the details, but you just put in an extension to close, and just in the addendum, and let the other agent know there was a change in employment that didn't affect the loan. And that's a big one right there. And I've seen it where people, their job has changed them from one position to another and blah, 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 boring stuff. But yeah, it happens. Another thing is, what if, let's say there's 4 houses and your seller, there's 4 contingencies, and the first home is contingent on selling, or has a first-time home buyer, and the first-time home buyer has delayed by a week. So now that sets position the next home that these sellers were going to go to, that sets this one, and this one, sets all 3 of those sellers off by a week as well. So again, that's why you communicate. And let's say you do have, you're the last in the line of the dominoes of 3 transactions where this seller is buying this house and the seller from here is buying your seller's house. And you can keep in touch with all of those agents, and it is your doing your due diligence to ask them, you know, seller number 1's agent, hey, how's it going with your buyer? And who is the lender on that? Do they have to sell a home to get into that house, or what are they waiting for? Have we made it through the inspection period? And when you do take let's say you've got someone that it's contingent on their house selling, and that house just went under contract. Well, ask that listing agent all the questions. What is their timeline? When are the inspections? How is this happening? To give your seller a stronger foundation to move forward when they know they're going to close, because they've got to get their movers, they've got to get everything boxed up. And you know, what happens if they have pets or kids in college, and all sorts of other things that happen. Anything else that you guys can think of or have questions about?
Just slowly drinking it all in.
Yeah, there's a lot. I throw a lot out there.
I told Mara, I'm like, it's kind of fuzzy right now, but just like a fine wine, just sipping it and,
Okay. Yeah, and even after, I mean, you guys can find me on Facebook. You can always direct message me. What was that again? And I can't answer principal broker questions because that's Tammy Sue. But if you just have a question about the deadlines or what should I say about something, how do I approach this? I will give you hypotheticals of how I would do it. So just gonna hit these bullet points here. And again, the common interaction points, communicate your deadlines. Communication of contract to other parties. Communication of a list of recommended contractors, movers, cleaners, everything that you can think of that has to do with real estate. Also, it's really handy if you know several contractors that do home repairs quickly so you can get your transaction closed. You need to send your contract to the title company. The minute you go under contract and you represent the seller, send that contract to the title company. Get that order opened. Usually they open within a day. If it's at the end of the day, it may not open until the following day. Scheduling and communication with inspectors and the buyer's agent, sending amendments or inspection reports to the other side, the title company, and lending. So if there is a price drop in the transaction, you need to let the lender know and you need to let the title company know once that agreed addendum is signed. That way, when they start getting your final closing statements ready, there's not a, $20,000 discrepancy. And now the lender has to redo all of the closing documents to balance with title company before they close. And there's a lot of people that will help you get through all of this when you get your first contract, when you get going towards closing. It may seem like it's off in the distance, but it's springtime and there are a lot of people that are looking to buy homes. Just know that they're out there. Any other random questions? So again, these are consideration points, and think about as you plot the documentation points on your timeline. So when you go under contract, just think in your head, what do I need to do? Most of it is in the contract. It's going to give you your hard deadlines. How many days? How many days for EMD? How many days for your title report? How many days for your seller property disclosures? How many days do I have to get the home inspection in with the inspection report in my hand? Most inspectors will get you the report within 24 hours. And if they don't, there's got to be a really good reason as to why they didn't. And I would then look for a different inspector if they can't produce a report in 24 hours. Do you guys have any questions about home inspection reports?
I have a question. If you don't agree with the repairs with the seller, your buyer can walk away and get the earned money back, right?
Yes, as long as it's within your timeline. In the contract, you will write how many days that you're offering for your buyer to secure the inspection and inspection report. In Klamath, I usually give 10 to 15 business days. You go under contract on a Saturday, the next business day is Monday. So you would have Monday through Friday, the next week, Monday through Friday, to get your inspector in there to inspect the house and get the report back to you. Now, this is it. If there's a Monday holiday somewhere in there, that day doesn't count. So it's not calendar days, it's business days. So instead of the first 5 days, the second week would be 4 days. And then you would also have that Monday to make 10 full business days. And so you have to be aware of what days are holidays, and how you do that is, are the banks open? If the banks are closed, if your title company is closed, that's a holiday. And even if the inspector will do the inspection on that Monday, that's a holiday, that's fantastic. And then you have another week to review it and see what your buyer wants to do. Now, let's say you send the repair addendum to the listing agent, and you still have 5 days left in your inspection period. You need to ask the listing agent, if they don't respond in a couple of days, if you need to write, or if they will write an inspection extension, an inspection timeline extension, if they're getting quotes and bids and things like that. And that protects your buyer, because I have experienced where the agent didn't pay attention, and it could have cost my buyer if I didn't get on them and say, hey, look, you know, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to write it now, because it's only an extra 3 days, but I have no more negotiation, nor, if we wanted to walk, could my buyer get their earnest money back. So those addendums, don't be afraid to write them. Even, and all it is one line saying inspection period to be extended to such and such date. Give yourself an extra 5 or 10 days.
Okay. Let me
And you
see
can
if I
even put,
Let me
Go
see if I understood. Okay, you have a specific period of time in order to make the repairs.
right,
If the
And it-
seller didn't make the repairs, you can make an addendum and extend the period.
Yep.
Okay,
both sides have to agree,
okay,
just so you know. And most people do, they understand. But you, just so everyone is clear, even though you write an addendum, it doesn't mean the other side will agree to it. They can just write across reject or not respond.
If the-
And if it's,
sorry, if both parties don't agree with the extended period,
mhm,
the buyer can walk away and get the earned money back.
as long as they're in that inspection period, yeah.
Okay,
So that's why they give those timelines. And
They have to have a
Because-
good reason for it, or like as long as they're within that like 5-day period, they can say, hey, we just need a couple more days to think about it, and either have to let them have it or they can walk.
so the seller says, I need a few extra days.
Or I think you're talking about like a buyer side?
Well, the buyer is the one that asks for the repairs. Then it goes to the seller side. So if the seller is saying, I'm waiting to get bids on the work to see if I'm going to get a repair or reduce the price, or they might just say after they get the bids, no way. So if the seller hasn't given you a time response, or a response within that timeline, then you need to talk to that agent and say, we're down to a day. Either I need something signed, or I might need to terminate, to make sure that my buyer can pull the contract and get their earnest money back.
Okay.
And that is something you communicate to the buyer.
And like both sides kind of have that, I imagine. So like on
Well,
a
this
seller,
is it. the majority of people want to move forward.
Right.
Sometimes people forget to be timely, so it's your job to make sure you help them out.
Gotcha.
There are limited of extended periods or addendums.
Say that again?
Are there any number of addendums that you can sign? For example, if you sign an addendum, an extended period for 3 days, in 3 days the house is not ready, you can sign other addendum.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the most I've done is we did alphabets, 7 addendums going back on timelines between all the things within the contract. You know, the buyer needed this, the seller needed that, and it happens. And as long as it's communicated, then it keeps the level of irritation down. It could be, again, if you have 3 transactions on the contingent offers, that this house has to sell for this house to sell for this house to sell. If there's a hiccup here, then it's like ripples in the water. It hits this house and this house. Does that make sense? So let's say this one, okay, we extended, and now this one hit a hiccup and has to extend. There's 2 weeks already. So to be the last one on that chain isn't always fun, but before your seller accepts that contract, you let them know, you know, what's going on. And if you're in the middle, you let your seller buyer know, hey, look, you know, we're going to do our very best to stay on time, but we need to take it easy on this last person and communicate our timelines. Otherwise, they get upset and it could come back and affect the middle buyer seller. So I like to get ahead of things like that. And I also put it in writing for my sellers or my buyers, usually in an email. Hey, just recapping everything that happened this week. You know, bullet point this. It was so good to see you. It was great bumping into you at the ice cream shop or whatever. And make sure you keep that humanity and not just bullet points. Boom, I sent it. That's it. Find that humanistic way to put your buyer or seller at ease in emails, because they can very easily feel like you're like not yelling, but being just too pointed. It depends on their personality. You know, some sellers or buyers just, they want bullet points. Others want a whole lot of hand holding and hugging to get them from point A to point B. So that's how you temper your emails and the language that you use in there. Sound good?
And like most contracts with all these timelines, if I recall, because I mean, I looked at some, I just haven't memorized, like I'm familiar with all of them, but you know, we mentioned all these deadlines, and it's easy for someone like me, especially new, being like, oh God, I need to write all these deadlines down. But most of the contracts and agreements, like I remember, have like kind of a, if not written in, this is the amount of days. So they kind of tell you that along the way, right?
If ever you get lost, just read that contract, and you'd be surprised how many people don't read their contracts.
I remember freaking out about that and being like, God, how am I gonna remember all these? Remember, like, I just think 2 to 3 days like max, but if you're that worried, think no more than 2 days, you know?
Yeah,
But
no, just know your contract, you know, read your contract. And as once it gets accepted, then however you want to put your tasks in Command, they have a platform that you can put your daily tasks and reminders of inspection on the Smith household, appraiser the next day on the Jones household. So you can put that in your Command. Yeah, don't just Ross, just show up, and that's the most important thing. And don't let things freak you out, because it's all right there. You might need to take a minute and read and review it, and then put it back to your buyers. You're the expert on that contract. You don't have to be the expert on all contracts, just that one. So it's going to give you everything you need.
I told Mara, being a Virgo, I'm such like an analytical like perfect.
Oh, okay.
I
That
do
tells
worry
me a
about
lot.
I worry about all the what ifs, and I know I
Mhm.
shouldn't, but I like to cover every base. And it's like, dude, you just have to like do it. And once you've done it, it all makes sense because now you have an experience to put all these things to. But they always seem like up in the air until we actually like do the dang thing. So that's where I'm like trying to bite my tongue sometimes on questions, but still ask if anyone else is curious.
Yeah. But that's most groups, people are going to stay quiet, and there's usually one or two people that will always speak up. So, and that's good because everybody learns from that. And with your personality type, we all learn to walk before we run. So if you look at these contracts, and instead of trying to master everything in each one of these Ignite classes, instead go, this is rehearsal, this is dress rehearsal. And just tell yourself the first 5 to 6 transactions are practice, but you have people to lean in on. I don't think there's a Keller Williams agent in our network that doesn't have someone to lean in on. There's always somebody in the office. There's somebody that's going to give you a little nudge or a point or 3 sentences that will get you on track. And that's really and I know I sound like, Keller, blah, blah, but that's the difference between our network, our Keller Williams versus many other brokerages, is because we are here to help.
Yeah, I just switched to this like last week, so I'm coming into these classes a little late, but I can already feel that there's much more structure and help. So that's kind
Good thing you're smart because you're picking up on it and you know how to ask questions. The majority of people don't know how to ask what they don't know. So you're already ahead of the game.
appreciate that. Thank you.
No, I'm serious. It's amazing. So here we go, talking about command. Have you guys, are you making yourself familiar with the command system?
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, it's a big beast. And I originally was there when they were just beta testing the rollout, which only had 3 of these little applets right here. And I can't tell you how many times I redid things because every update wiped it away. And I will say that I am back taking Marty Miller's 66-day challenge on 9.0, because as things grow and you get busy in your business, I'm a little weak in a few areas that I am adjusting now, because it's like our cell phones. We get so used to using about 10 to 15% of the phone that if we get a new app, it's like, I have to learn something new. I'll stick with my old app because it's easier. But, and the command, you do get the command app on your phone as well. And the great thing with that is if you have your contacts, if you put any of your real estate contacts into your command, you can access them through your command app. So I really like this platform. It is huge. It's made for everybody, coast to coast, north and south. And so I do have some people asking, why so much? And it's like, why not? Use what suits you and ignore what doesn't. But the more you get used to it, then the more you can integrate in, and it saves you a lot of money. It's a lot, very affordable, our tech platform, for everything that you got. That is not a paid endorsement, just so you know. I really like it. So anywho, I guess I've talked a lot so far today. Any aha moments that this class has helped you out with?
I think there's just the fact that, we can keep that communication open between the other agent without having to feel that we're bothering them, that it's good to keep that open and just work together.
That's it, because this is it. your seller wants to sell, your buyer wants to buy. The agent wants to get the house sold because that's that agent's job. As a buyer's agent, you want to get your buyer into a house. And so you're looking for that win-win. You're looking for everyone to come together to make that happen. Now, sometimes there's egos that get involved. So you recognize that and go, you know what? That ego isn't worth my buyer not getting into this house or my seller not being able to close on the deal. And the number one thing, because as you can tell, I talk with my hands, I get a little excitable, and I really do think I'm funny more often than not. And my deliveries don't always land well. So what I have learned is when I'm negotiating and I'm working with that other side to be pleasant, but I do my very best to take all my emotions, set them on the table, and then get back to business. And no matter how upset I get, just leave it alone, because that's a human emotion and that will interfere with a successful transaction. Now, once you close, then you can get all excited for your clients. Yay, way to go, all of that. But really, if there's something stressful, I've had calls late in the evening of like just really things I didn't want to hear about. So instead of getting upset, and I liken it to a spooked horse that runs a mile down the road before it realizes it was a plastic bag. Reel it in, try to sleep, wake up in the morning, find the right words to deliver bad news to my buyer or seller, and look at the same time as a way to negotiate through that before I even talk to my client. You know, these are our options. These are the things that we can do. So if you can just always remember, don't get emotional. And I've had agents blow up at me. I've had clients blow up at me. It happens. It's a heightened sense. I mean, it's a big deal buying a house or selling a house. So I get that. And I just let people, if you have a client that calls you and they are like nonstop, get really, really quiet, listen until they stop. And when they stop speaking, they'll say, "Are you there?" "Yes, I'm right here and I'm listening to every word you're saying." 9 times out of 10, they just need to get it out. They just needed a sounding board. And usually when someone needs to vent and they vent on me, I take notes. And while they're talking, I'm thinking of a strategy of what my next words are going to be to make that conversation end as a successful win-win conversation.
It's funny you say
Every
all that.
conversation is going to be different.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to like a few agents when I was just showing like some houses, and I was amazed by like my initial going into it, because even how like the training coursework to get my license sounds, it's always like you got to look at your client first, like that's your main thing. Like, don't be trying to be friend like whoever. I mean, they don't make it out to like demonize the other side, but really like keep everything more to yourself. Like, don't put all your cards on the table. And well, adhering to that, I found it still interesting when I would call agents are actually, the communication is huge. And I see why a lot of agents fail, because I'd be trying to show someone's house or get an appointment and I can't even get a hold of the agent until the day I'm going out there and he's like, "Hey, you still want to go see it?" Did we already finished our tour? So being by your phone and being able to communicate is number one. But going in, like you just said, with like a healthy mindset, being transparent and not, again, like a pushover, because you don't want to be so passive that they think they can take advantage of you. That's not the point. But I've asked agents like, "Hey, I understand that this is something you need to keep like, to your person or like your client, but would you feel comfortable asking if they're okay with you disclosing this? Because I have someone curious of that, and that could be a huge reason if we move forward with this or not. So if you could do that and get back to us." And they said, "You know what? Usually I'd say no, but the way that you asked and called and communicated, absolutely." And I've had 2 or 3 people that, again, I haven't done anything yet, but I feel confident talking to them, because it is really about like how you present that, and everything is negotiable, even things that you can't disclose. If you get the written in like permission from it and it's all okay, a lot more can get done, and there's a lot more wiggle room in all this,
Exactly. You
It's-
get people that are more willing.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then they realize you're not here to beat me up.
it garners trust. It's just, yeah, it does so much
Exactly.
for the rapport of the entire transaction.
And that's, it's that professionalism as you move forward to always know as a realtor, you go into a store and someone recognizes you, you always need to carry that professionalism with you. And some agents forget. And, because we're human and we get comfortable in our surroundings. And what we don't realize is that there's someone, standing in line, 2 people behind us that are overhearing our conversation. So, just always keep your sidebars in, open fields with nobody else around.
Right.
So anyway, but that was very informative. And that's the whole point of all of these classes, is to give you sounding boards to absorb this and to let you know there is a system that we go through. And it doesn't matter where you're at in any business. You can lay out this timeline to any business and find the same successes. And it's just applying yourself and finding the confidence to do it. And then also, the more houses you show, the more open houses you do, even if you aren't scheduled to do an open house, go visit other agents' open houses, walk into as many homes as possible, because you might get a buyer that says, hey, I want to see 123 Main Street. Oh man, that's such a great house. I was there just last week. It is so cute. You've got this floor, that floor. And so you're already sounding like an expert. And I'm going to start talking real fast because class is 1 to 3, but I've been a chatterbox as usual. So I don't want to hold you guys up on the rest of your afternoon. But best practices and risk avoidance. Huge, huge, huge. So again, the communication, being just level with people, and disclose. I mean, I've had deals that I was ready to walk away from because I knew things and my client knew things, but my clients weren't ready to disclose. So I can't force anybody to do anything, but I can always remove myself from a situation. So always keep that in mind as well, because I don't want to drag my name through the mud. And I will definitely not drag my brokerage's name through the mud. So, just basically, have morals and live by them. So again, going over staying professional. A person yelling at you does not force you to yell. The best way to control the situation is stay calm, keep your voice down, and just move forward. And buying and selling homes is a heated sport. So just your job is to be the voice of reason for your seller and your buyers. And I've seen some agents, get their clients worked up instead of bringing them down. So it's okay to be empathetic. But again, remember, your job is to try to keep it calm as much as possible from beginning to end. You can't carry the weight of those others on your shoulders, but you can always control yourself. So again, communication, communication, communication. In the beginning, set up your expectations with your clients, and then maintain your professionalism. So we've got to be the fiduciary, looking at your timelines. You've got to find out where are the weak parts of your deal. And every contract is different. Every property is different. So when you look at that house, when you go in for the listing appointment or before you write that contract, think about what you need to convey to your clients to keep the deal alive and where there are risks. And it's okay to convey that. And then I like to tell people, like, sometimes I'll have clients come in with lowball offers, and well, let's say I'm a listing agent and I've got a $300,000 house, and everyone's coming in beating me up at 225, and then the seller is like, what's up with this? And it's, you know, why do you just, if I see another one, just reject it? And it's like, no, because let's counter. Anytime you get an offer and you are the listing agent, don't just reject it. Write out what you want and then send it back. So don't let a contract die on your table is basically what I'm telling you there. Does that make sense? And it isn't about you, right? It's about your client. It is doing the best job for your client. That's why they hired you. And, you know, when we get busy, we can make some really good money. So it isn't about you as the agent. It's you doing your job for your client's best interest. And does anybody have the WI4C2TESs?
No.
Win-win?
No.
Integrity? The 4 C's?
Oh,
Commitment? Anybody? Anyway, you guys should look that up and study it and then live it, especially whenever you have a rough day. Any other ahas from this point? So at the end, after, when you're getting to the end of your transaction, start asking for referrals. You know, do you know of anybody else? If you're happy with my service, do you know of anybody else who might be looking to buy or sell? Or a big place for referrals, every single vendor that you work with, your lenders, your insurance people. And don't say, oh, they know 100 agents. Every agent is different. And let's say they refer, let's say the insurance person refers 4 agents on a regular basis. I would like to think that I could be number 5 on the list, because those people are going to call somebody, right? So just always keep that professional rapport and don't be shy to ask. The cleaning service, the gardeners, the movers, always just drop your card and say, hey, if you know of anybody who's looking to buy or sell, I'd appreciate it if you gave them my number, you know, or is there, you know, and just bring up conversation. People will remember you over a conversation. So don't, you know, no one wants to be hit over the head. Yeah, I know you're a realtor. I want to be known for more than just a realtor. So
For the
anyway,
talk about cash, credit, collateral, and capacity.
come again?
When you're talking about the 4 C's, were you talking about, I had them written down there, like the cash, credit, collateral, capacity? The
Nope. Commitment. So my blood sugar's low. I should know these inside and out. Usually I recite these, but not today.
I'll look them up.
Yeah, that's my bad. I apologize. Yeah. Anyway, I should print that out and have it sent out to everybody. Okay, where'd that go? So you can get repeat business from the clients that you have. Then you have referral business where you're asking people to refer your name if they know of anybody, and also ask for client reviews. Once you get your website put together, you can get an area on there to put in client reviews. If you're, you know, ask your clients, hey, can you get, if you're happy with my service, can you, you know, fill out a review for me? And then there's also review services like with Zillow and Homes and all of that. Then they will, they offer the service on their platform for people to rate your service. So those are great ways for recognition. And in the very beginning, find ways to network and let people know that you are here, you're a realtor, you're with Keller Williams, you're educated, and you're going to be you are the best person that you can be to represent them. And never think that because I'm new, I can't do it. Everybody has a history. Everybody has a past. We've all had different jobs, careers. Fall into those, you know, lean in, pull that out, because just if you look at everything as like different platforms, let's take social media, look at all the different social media platforms out there. You know, you can pull on all of those to, you know, one's not better than the other. They suit different people. As a realtor, you're going to suit different people, and you'll have different histories that will support those types of transactions. Does that make sense? Sometimes
Got to be adaptable.
yeah, I squirrel. One thing will catch my eye, and then it's, you know, all over. So just remember in all your conversations throughout your transactions, and then at the close of the transaction, you will learn to be bold by asking for a referral. You know, hey, I've got some, you know, I would love to be able to help people as you know, like yourself. Do you know of anybody? You find your own lines, what feels comfortable. And I've actually gone out to dinner in different states and left my card and said, if you know of anybody moving to Oregon, which might be a slim chance, don't be shy. Here's my card. You know, just give it to somebody. And, you know, people usually chuckle, but they'll always remember me. And so again, take advantage of repeat business, referral business, client reviews, and just really work on letting people know you're a realtor. And the only way that they're going to know is if you tell them. So when you send out letters, the golden letter, you know, hi, I'm Ross, and I'm with Keller Williams, and I'm looking to represent buyers, or I have a goal of representing 20 buyers this year. If you or someone you know is interested in buying a home, please call me. That's your letter or your postcard, send it out, you know, door knock, whatever. There are ways, find out what works for you. If you are going to be calling people, please, please, please go to the do not call list, and don't call anybody that's on there, because there's, especially for realtors, there's huge fines. Don't want to go there. There's probably a slide in here with the TCCP, I think it is. But anyway, AHAs, agents helping agents. That's what Keller Williams is about. So any other AHAs that you guys have come up with? Other than I talk a lot. And then after you close your contract, you know what you do? Every so often, text that person, hey, haven't heard from you, how's everything going? You know, have oh, another good resource is home warranties to, you know, offer your clients. Anyway, sorry, I didn't bring that up sooner. But anyway, just keep in touch with your people. Even if it's somebody that's moved to that area from out of town and there's a community event, hey, did you know that we're having here in Klamath, we have third Thursdays in summer. It's like a little street fair. They close down Main Street and it's fun. We have bands and food trucks and, you know, places for kids to get their face painted, and, you know, skateboard park, you know, all sorts of stuff, horses for the kids to pet, whatever. And just, it's a PSA. Hey, just thinking of you, maybe I'll bump into you there. It starts at 5, you know, so whatever you can do, keep in touch with those people. And in the command system, there is the 36 touches on how you go about to remind your clients that you're still there. And even friends that's from other businesses, remind them that you're a realtor without banging them over the head. Hey, I'm just checking in on you. I'm digging my life with Keller Williams. What's going on? I'm going to be at the baseball game, on such and such on Thursday at 5, and it's going to be, free ball night or whatever. And just remind people that you are there, you are with Keller Williams, and you love helping people get into homes. And again, your smart plans in command. If there's all sorts of videos about learning your command system, Marty Miller is on YouTube. He's easy to follow, and he breaks it down step by step with all of your applets and how to use them. And then you can also follow up with the other agent. And if it's been a really nice agent that you would like to bring over to Keller Williams, let your team leader know and say, hey, call this agent to say thank you. We had a wonderful closing and they went above and beyond, and they'll take care of the rest. And you can, some agents here, anytime there's an agent gathering, try to go so they know who you are. So whenever you're working with them, it's a little bit easier. Too many new agents don't get out there. So if they put in an offer, the more seasoned agents will not, they'll have no concept of who you are. It's a lot easier to work with people once they know who you are. And let's see, recap and ahas. So anything that has helped you think and change the way that you move forward? Other than we all need more coffee right about now. And I would like it if the sun were to shine for a couple of days and dry up the ground, but that's just here in Klamath. No. So
in the process, it is a ton of information. I don't know where everyone else in here's level of acuity to all of it is, but yeah, it's kind of fun to become comfortable feeling uncomfortable again, because that's where we find the most growth, But here
exactly. Yeah, so just dive into it. Just,
yeah, here we are.
Be like a Labrador, just roll around in it. So anyway, and if anybody has questions, you can find me on Facebook, direct message me. It's Laura Knight. I don't mind answering questions. Anything about this here today, if you need a refresher, just send me direct message and I'll respond as soon as I can. So also think, what do you feel differently about and what was meaningful to you today? These are all things that you get to ask yourself, and it helps build your mindset going into getting those transactions going on. Also, how will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take? Always be professional. Just know you can do it. It's daunting. It's scary. Do it anyway. Just get out there, and you don't have to explain yourself to your clients. You don't want to tell your clients, oh my God, I'm so afraid this is my first contract. You tell your clients, I am so lucky because I am in an office with so many seasoned agents that we got you. You're not just hiring me, you're hiring my whole brokerage, because in our brokerage, we've got each other's backs. And that's not stretching the truth. We all want to succeed. If I can succeed, you guys can succeed. And that's human nature. If one can do it, many can do it. And then look at your tools, your models, or your systems that you'll use. And think about how you will make yourself accountable. So really think about, you know, I'm a big do-it-yourselfer, but I lean in on my friends to kick me in the rear every now and again when I'm feeling a little beat up. And usually all I need is a day off and some sunshine, and everything's right in the universe again. But one of the best things is the 4-1-1, 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year. What's your goal? And then you work backwards. How are you going to attain that 1 year goal? What are you going to do for the next 4 weeks? You know, how many people are you going to reach out to? How many letters are you going to send? How many open houses are you going to attend, whether you're hosting the open houses or not? Just go. You see a realtor event, your association event, it might be uncomfortable. Go anyway. You know how many pair of uncomfortable shoes I have, but I've worn them anyway because they look good with the outfit? No. But I did it anyway. So it's kind of the same thing. Even if you feel like it doesn't fit, do it anyway, because you're not going to know till you do it. And then daily success systems. Won't go over that because that. And this is the do not call, the TCPA. Don't call if they're on the list. And there is in everything that we have in Keller, that link right there, it's in your Connect. You can always look up numbers before you cold call. You know, some people love cold calling, other people hate it. That's up to you. I know that if I've taken the Bold class, which is pretty awesome. And one of the things was contact the first, they wanted us to contact as many people as we could in 15 minutes. I contacted about 10 or 15 contacts in my phone that I hadn't talked to in a while. I was having conversations for the next 2 weeks. And if you're going to have conversations, you want to have them with people that know you, that have worked with you, that will remind other people that you're a realtor, and they will send work your way. And that's just it. This is your job and your profession. So if you want to work, you can't sit and wait for the work to find you. Ask for work. That was really hard for me once upon a time. Now it's easy peasy.
So I have a question.
Yes, Stephanie.
You had said that you can access the do not call list through command or connect.
Yeah.
So I did not know that. I'll have to look into that.
Here, let's go blah, blah. Right down here. Connect.com/page/industry-resource/DNC. Do not call.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I take it you like cold calls.
Well, I do it, yeah.
So I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. And that is so true. Everything we do in life is a relationship, be it with the grocery store you go to usually, with auto repair, any of those things. It's not different with real estate. Everyone that you work with, it's a relationship, and you get to be the captain of how that relationship is going to flesh out. And just always stay professional and just be open to all the possibilities by just talking to one person. Now, this is pretty much the end of our class. Anytime that you guys get a chance to get onto the calls and listen to the role play, I highly recommend doing that, or you can do it with a partner in the office. This is, you can prepare your conversation list. And I did this before, and it really, you do it, you practice it until it becomes second nature. You can take conversations, learn them, rehearse them, and then you turn it into what's true for you. We've all been to the movies, and there's some actors or actresses that were like, nah, because it felt forced. And then there's others that you can't imagine them being able to play all the different roles that they do because they're so believable in each role. That's That's how they do it. Celebrate your successes. And if you're on social media, it's okay to brag. Let people know things that you celebrate. And it doesn't always have to be about real estate. It's about life because it's a thing. We're all enjoying it. At least I hope you are. But I think that's pretty much where I think I went maybe even a little too far, but never stop me. But that's just it. Just always follow up on with people as well. So if you have an open house and they give you a name and a number, give them a call or a text. Hey, I'm having a, don't even say, are you looking to buy or sell? Hey, I'm having another open house. It was fun meeting you. If you wanted to stop in at, 456 Main Street or whatever, always find a reason without hitting people over the head. Because by about the third call or connection, they know you're a realtor. And that now it's the time to bring in your personality and who you are and why they're going to want to work with you. It's because you show up, you study, you pay attention to your contracts. They couldn't ask for a better person to represent them because we all have that in us. Just sometimes we don't know. So just know that it's there. Just start doing your thing. Before I click off, 10 minutes past time, sorry guys, any other questions or any topics that you guys want to talk about? More coffee? No, just kidding. All right. Well, once again, Laura Knight, I am on Facebook, or if you want to text me, I can give you my number. It is 541 331 1729. Feel free to text me any questions. And again, if it's a principal broker contract question, I don't do that. But if it's hey, I'm thinking about doing something or something in class you said, could you re-explain that because you were all over the place? I'd be more than happy to do so. And if there's nothing else, I will say goodbye and thank you so much for putting up with me for over 2 hours.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.